Hi guys, so I want to tell you about how the tactics used by the government in regards to NHS workers is orchestrated. This is not random. So what I'm talking about here is, of course, this 1% pay rise for NHS workers is measly £3.50 a week extra. This is the Health Minister, Lord Bethell. He said recently, nurses are well paid for the job. Now, this is not just some off-the-cuff remark. This is planned and organised. And there are certain tactics behind this, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. So please bear with me. Now, who is Lord Bethell? Well, he was born James Nicholas Bellend. Okay, keep calm. 5th Baron Bethell. Okay, so it's understandable why he changed his name. Anyway, basically, he's a failed politician. He ran against Labour in 2005, and he failed. He used to be a journalist. He ran again in 2009 in a primary and he failed. But don't worry, you don't need to win a seat. You don't need to win votes in order to get into the House of Lords, for example, of course. But all you need is to give money to the right people, it seems. So if we go down to the bottom here on his Wikipedia page, it says, it was reported in November 2020 by the Times of London that Bethell, I'm going to call him Bellend because that's his name, Bellend, is the Minister for NHS Test and Trace, a novelty formed as part of Johnson's ministry's efforts to control the coronavirus. He was a surprise appointment in March, having chaired Matt Hancock's leadership campaign in 2019 and giving him a £5,000 donation. So, he gave Matt Hancock a £5,000 donation. He was shifted into the House of Lords and he was made Junior Health Minister. It's just a coincidence, of course. Now, this is his position, but I think it's important to look at what he was doing before he got to this stage. And it says here, Bellend, let's call him Bellend because that's his name, Bellend. Bellend worked as a journalist and then managed the Ministry of Sound nightclub before founding Westburn Communications, which he sold off to some group. Okay, so Westburn Communications, who are they and what is important about them? So I want to show you here where it talks about the tactics used by this. So it's actually a Westburn Communications is a public relations firm founded by James Bellend, let's call him by his real name, in June 2018. Okay, it says here what's interesting about the tactics they used, for example, in relation to campaigns for high-speed rail. The tactics were denounced by opposing group Spinwatch as astroturfing and cited as a case of the triumph of vested interests and the power of their lobbying companies. Tactics described as keeping a lid on protests. Now remember this in relation to the nurses. In a campaign involved a confrontational approach against the insurgent tactics of online campaigners. Vice quoted Bellend, "You've got to fight them on every street corner. You can't just sit and watch your opponents run around doing what they like. You've got to get out into the bush using their tactics and being in their face." In comments made at a conference with US high-speed rail advocates in 2012, Westburn had advised lobbyists to pick off opponents with sniper scope accuracy and shut them down with aggressive rebuttal campaigns, which Bellend called an exhaustive but crucial part of successful lobbying. So this is part of a campaign and he left this, but of course he's still using these tactics and he's advising the government. Attack the nurses, say they're well paid, undermine trust between the public and the NHS, undermine this trust that exists, and then you'll eventually be able to convince the public that this pay rise is enough and that nurses are already well paid. Remember that this guy is on £70,969 a year. £70,969 a year. And as a member of the House of Lords, he earns £305 in expenses. He can claim that in expenses. So this is somebody who's doing quite well for himself. This is basically his salary. He probably has money because he's a lord. He probably has money from other things. But he's trying to convince the public that nurses, some of them on very low wages, are earning well enough and they don't need extra money. And if we are giving them money, they should be grateful for it. This is not just a campaign against the nurses. This is a campaign to convince the public that the nurses are ungrateful in a sense. And I hope it fails. I truly do. But you have a government that is organized, is using these types of tactics against its own employees. Let me know in the comments section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?